I only have one memory, and that's a good one, because I forget the bad ones. But I remember in the League Cup once we lost 2-1 away from home, and in the second leg we won 5-1 at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where it was White Hart Lane then, and I managed to score the first goal in the game. And we went to Wembley, and unfortunately my old team Blackburn Rovers beat us. But yeah, that was a really good memory, and there wasn't many against Chelsea. Like I say, this is a bogey team for Tottenham, especially with Tottenham playing at home.
Yeah, it really is a tough game. Chelsea love to win at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I think they have the most wins of any visiting side. I don't want to say too many stats because Darren will give me the side.
Yeah, Chelsea are very rude. They call it 3-point lane, but it's now, I don't know what they call it now because it's the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So they're going to have to come out with something a little more imaginative.
It's a game that generates headlines. It gives us drama. There's always chaos involved. Some great names have been given to these, like you were just reminding us of Battle of the Bridge.
Yeah, Battle of the Bridge. I was there. Basically, Tottenham were in the title race with Leicester back in 2016. Obviously, Leicester went on to win it, but at that point, Tottenham had a real chance of winning the league. And John Terry, the Chelsea captain at the time, has said publicly, social media, they are not coming to take 3 points on the way to winning the title, not on my watch. And I actually love the fact that he said that. That's real leadership in captaincy, and the fight, the spite, the bile in that match. Obviously, it made headlines for days and weeks afterwards.
And still now, it's an iconic game in the Premier League history.
Yeah.
It was a kick fest, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And there's some quality football, but it was a battle. It really was a battle, and it was refereed brilliantly.
And if you think about the Stamford Bridge press box is just behind the dugout. So you're seeing everything, and there were loads of people. Generally, it was a midweek night game, and we'd all be typing into our laptops. But at the time, there were so many of us as journalists who were just awestruck at what we were seeing.
Blood all over your screen.
Towels being produced to wipe the screens, the keys soaked in. But it was incredible, and it just shows how psychologically, as Tim was saying, the run for Chelsea is outstanding. I think it's, for Spurs, only 8 wins in 66 matches, and Chelsea have won 5 of the last 6 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I won't call it the other thing. But for all that, that's why I'm here. I think Spurs will win.
Early predictions. What a treat this Friday. There's my treat. Early prediction from Darren. Well, it's a first encounter then as a Tottenham boss against Chelsea for Thomas Frank. So let's hear from him. He's looking forward to the challenge of a home game against their rivals from West London.
A game against Chelsea, especially a home game against Chelsea, under the floodlights tomorrow is going to be unique and special. Can't wait for it. The players are already looking forward to it. It's a fantastic occasion. We need the fans behind us. I know they do everything they can to try to create even more noise, make it this very difficult place to play.
And they come into this one, obviously, with the contrasting results for Spurs in the Premier League. It was a wonderful result against Everton.
Yeah, they're far better away from home. They're allowed to play however they want away from home, as long as they win the football match, and they scored from 2 set pieces. Mickey van der Ven, obviously Sarr with Richarlison head back, makes it 3-0 when they're very stretched. But unfortunately, when you play at home, the fans demand a lot more than that. I think that's why they've struggled at home. I really do. I just think that there's demands from the fans to entertain. You feel obliged as a player to entertain as well. This is from open play. I think it was the second shot on target from an open play in the whole game from Tottenham. That cannot be tolerated at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it won't be. They can get away with it while they're winning football matches. Jose did, Conte did, but as soon as the results start going away, then the fans demand some performances. But I would just be perfectly happy with 3 points, and I would be pleased with that. But I think that is the reason why we're seeing they're so good away from home. But at home, I just think the pressure on them to take the game to the opposition, I'm not sure they've got the quality at the moment to be able to do that.
Yeah, 3 wins in 18 at home, 11 defeats at that time. It's been very tough in their own backyard. But for Thomas Frank, how much would he endear himself to the Spurs fans? Even more. They are third in the table, by the way, in case we've forgotten. How much would he endear himself to the Spurs fans if he could get a victory over Chelsea? And what's very clearly now we've shown everyone is it's a rivalry.
Yeah, listen, it's very clear to say that he would endear himself to the Tottenham fans with a victory. The only thing I would say is that I remember when Pochettino was he tried not to get sucked in when he was Spurs boss into the rivalries. He would often say about your Arsenals and your Chelseas that if I get sucked into that, then I'm being driven by emotion rather than the job that you were talking about, getting the 3 points. And I think that might well be the case in this match. I think as far as Frank is concerned, what he's got to do is get the basics right, and they seem to have those lapses in concentration, Spurs, that lend themselves to the record that you were talking about.
It's something new for Thomas Frank, these derbies. You know, he's been with respect. He's been at Brentford. Now he stepped into the dugout there at Tottenham Hotspur, and you got the Arsenal who are going to come along soon. It's a huge derby. This is the biggest game of the season for the Chelsea fans. It's not the big game for the Tottenham fans is the Arsenal game. Then West Ham come, so he's experienced that one. I just feel like it's very difficult. I always say it's so difficult for a London club to win the Premier League. Now, I think there is going to be a London club winning the Premier League this year, and I don't want to say their name, but it looks likely that they're going to win it, even though they have so many derbies. And them derbies, because even if the team have got nothing to play for, so if Chelsea go to Arsenal and Tottenham go to Arsenal, West Ham, they just want to spoil their party. And that's exactly when Chelsea were chasing titles, that's exactly what Tottenham would try and do to them. So it's always very, very difficult. There's so many derbies, they just keep coming around every other week, you know, and I think it's something new for Thomas to get used to.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even think about that aspect of it. Of course, he's played plenty of London derbies before, but the expectation, I think, as a Brentford manager and as a Spurs manager. And then I also thought you were having a dig at Chelsea, saying this is their biggest game. I didn't realise how much they hate each other until I actually went to Stamford Bridge for the first time and realised that Chelsea's main song is "We Hate Tottenham, Chelsea." I had no idea. It
Very rude, isn't it?
I didn't know it was that fierce.
I don't know why. Tottenham seem to be, you know, not very popular, certainly in London against the other teams.
I was like, is this your anthem? We hate Tottenham, Chelsea. Wow, okay. Well, London derbies are always heated affairs, and Enzo Maresca was asked about his side's poor disciplinary record earlier today.
The problem is that when I say that there is no concern about red card, no concern. If I say that we need to avoid red card, it's we need to avoid red card. I say what I think is correct to say. Sometimes we had red card that was difficult to avoid, and sometimes we had some red card that we could avoid.
I feel like he's been in denial about this red card situation, or been playing it down in front of the media for a long time. But 6 red cards in 9 games, himself included, is a pretty big deal. And in games like against Manchester United, in games like against Brighton at Stamford Bridge, it's cost them.
Yeah, absolutely, big time. And it will do this season as well. I've got a theory around the red cards, and I think it's linked to the lack of experience in the dressing room. What Chelsea aspire to and what they're able to achieve, the two are not compatible. Yes, they could argue they won the most minor of the European competitions last season and a Club World Cup that people like, but it's not really that important. But when it comes to winning the big silverware, you need experience. If you look at all of the teams that have won big things and major trophies, they all have experience in the middle of the park, and those experienced heads are able to tell the younger players to keep their heads in difficult moments. The one that Liam Delap picked up the other day, that was for a silly bit of nonsense. And if you've got an experienced head in the dressing room, they are able to advise young players away from that kind of thing. Even if you look down the Premier League, why are Brentford doing well? Jordan Henderson in the middle of the park, the experience that Thomas Tuchel wants in his England team, even though he's got good young players. Tim has played in midfield, Villa, Spurs. He has been an older head guiding younger players. I remember at Liverpool, Gary McAllister used to be in the middle of the park around younger players, and you look at lots of other teams, they do have that experience. If I'm not mistaken, Maresca hasn't bought a single player over 30.
No.
That's key to this disciplinary situation.
Just a final question on this game for Tim. What do you make of Chelsea? I'm not quite sure what to expect of them week to week, you know?
I'm with you. Inconsistency, but that comes with youth. I think if they're on it, they're on it. I think they're very fun to watch. You know, I think they play on the front foot. I'm not sure they're strong enough at the back. I think they can play one way, and it'd probably suit Tottenham. If it was at the Bridge, I'd fancy Tottenham a lot more because they would just sit in there, or they'd try and counter-attack. Intriguing game. Two different styles. Like I say, I think I just lean towards Chelsea because Tottenham are not going to be able to sit in. They won't be allowed to sit in there and just protect. They're going to have to come out. They're going to be more expansive. And I think the pace what Chelsea have, even though they've got a few players missing with injuries and suspensions, I think they have a little bit too much guile for Tottenham, and they might open them up. And then the fans will get frustrated. Here we go again, you know, because they've got the memories of not having good results previously.
I disagree. I think no Delap means there's no plan B. The sendings off mean there are key players that are not available in midfield, in defence. And I think when you're talking about pace, Spurs do have that, and they're able to pour into some of the spaces that are going to be left behind by the absences of the players you talk about, precisely because of the red cards.
I just don't think they've got the firepower at the moment. I think Richarlison's not the answer. Solanke's injured. Yeah, Kudos is okay, but they score goals from set pieces. If they don't do that, which is a big threat, by the way, because lack of height in the and stature in the Chelsea side. I lean towards Chelsea just because of the history. Take the history away, I think it's a 50-50 game.